Awesome, fantastic. So finally, we have two interesting angles: the music that you slightly touched on, and the story of the game, the lore of the game. So maybe to start off with Isaac, any thoughts on the story and the music of the game?
Well, I think the story is quite good. Uh, it works well if the art is more polished. I think it will resonate well with the young female kids in Africa. I think probably you should even liaise more with Joanna, and she's going to even help you to really try and make this art a little bit more centered towards females. Because, for instance, the current work that I'm doing now for the Ministry of Education, we did an animation and currently working on a game for them. They stressed on the fact that they want the education to be more centered towards girls. I don't know the reason, but I think it is more due to the fact that women over the years have been a little bit marginalized and blah blah blah, the whole feminine thing. So, I mean, get your artworks done well, yeah. With the storyline, I think it's already great. Just get your artworks done right for it to match the story so that any young girl picks up even either a comic or the game, the child can really resonate more to that story. Sound is very important because currently what we have, you see a lot of African game developers having this foreign art for music inside their games. You don't want that. You don't want that. And I know there's a whole royalty issue, but I mean, back in school, I'm sure you can get some of these guys from the sound department. Just, you have to be a good seller. Pitch your idea like it is a $10 million game. You understand? And pitch it to those students in those schools, in the school that you are teaching. Pitch it to them like this game, if you don't join, you are losing. This game is going on the stock market. This game is going everywhere.
It's going to change history. Yes.
Sell the story to them, because if you can't sell the story to yourself, you can't sell the story to the people that you want to attract to help you to develop the game, then you can't sell it to anybody.
There's a test I was once broken down to by an entrepreneur friend of mine, and he said, if you can't sell your idea to your enemy, it's probably not a good idea. And I think that's what you are alluding to. You need to be able to sell that thing that even someone who doesn't want the best for you, who has everything to benefit if you fail, has to admit that is a good idea.
Yeah. And when planning these games and planning your artworks, I mean, do your intensive research, and like you are going to war. You are going to war. That's how I attack any project. I'm going to war. I'm going to war with, if I want to develop the next game, I'm going to war with Joanna, I'm going to war with Oscar, I'm going to war with all of you. So what do I need to do? Then meaning that I need to sell it more than you guys, you understand? So I think if you want to also go to that point, get your artworks done, get the music guys around, let them, I mean, entice them a bit, not by money, but by the fact that even this forum, I mean, you can even take a screenshot and say, yeah, I had this forum with these game developers and they were so awesome. I had this meeting with Joanna, I had this meeting with Oscar, they are awesome, and you guys have to join. And they're going to be like, yes, I want to join this panel. Then you bring them, and that's how you are going to end up having a good indie game. And I and my partner, we went through that journey a bit. We developed the game, we added our audio, we signed deals with people, we built websites for people just in exchange of good sound. And when we submitted it to MTN those days, I mean, they were wild. You understand? We didn't even end up going through all the vetting. They had already even decided that these guys are taking it. And it is not just to blow words, but I can say a lot of work went into that game. So, I mean, you're on a good path. You are doing awesome, and I think just polishing this bit, I think you are going to do great. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Eza.
Awesome, fantastic. Any additional thoughts on the music and the art?
For the music, I'd probably just say something small. I'm having a few camera issues, by the way. My camera tends to be very dramatic, so please. I think Douglas has experienced this in the past, but it just does its own thing. Yeah, sound is really big. Honestly, try this before. And the next time you're gonna play a video game, turn off all the sound and try and see if you'll actually enjoy that game. Very likely that you probably won't. Sounds are so important because the only two senses that you interact with the game. There's three. There's touch, there's what you see, and there's what you hear. So it is a really big thing, and you're also in an amazing place. You're in a media school. I'm sure there's so many media guys that do sound there, and a lot of them. That's one thing I feel like I have a gap in the industry for us. Sadly, there aren't many people you hear that are sound engineers that want to do stuff in the gaming industry. As just recently that it's just because our current game is going to be a rhythm game and it's all about music that we are getting exposed to a lot more like musicians, and I try to figure out the same way we figured out art. Now you have to figure out sound. Like, what's the best way to like deliver stuff for sound? How does a contract look like for sound? What do sound engineers like or sound designers or whatever? What's important to them and all that other stuff is what we're trying to figure out now. But at the end of the day, it is important. Really figure out, and it also comes back to your hook, comes back to your theme. Make sure it all fits. It's all like one product. Not like your sound. You have hip hop in your game, but your game is based in 1960. Doesn't make any sense. You get, so yeah. Make sure it's all one product. It all feels like this. This all makes sense and stuff. But I think even what you had in the game was really good. I think with a bit more polish and a bit more unique sounds, you can. There are ways to vary sounds. Even the collectibles when you're collecting the cowrie shells. That's what they're called, right? Yeah. When you're collecting those shells, you can vary the sounds so it doesn't feel too repetitive. You can have like two sounds. So one time you plays this sound and then that sound, and then this sound and then that sound. But yeah, I think so far it was good, but it just needs a bit of polish, a bit more variety, and I think you'd have a really good product. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, awesome. Anything to add on that, Oscar?
George has said quite a lot about what I said, especially in that the cowries part as well. You know, when you pick a cowrie, it gives you the sound. You pick multiple cowries, I could detect that it's the same sound, all played like in sync, something like that. So I feel like we could do some form of differentiation so that you know that, oh, you're doing something more. And even when the character dies, the sound there doesn't, I don't think it's really fits. I feel like a better sound can be used. But then I understand you're on a budget, and there's going to be an upgrade. So I look forward to that. I think I would now focus more on the story. I'm a little bit conflicted here because I didn't see much storytelling across the levels. So I'm proceeding through each levels. Okay, I remember in the first one I collected something like a wardrobe or so. And the second one was more like a necklace. But why am I doing that? There was no storytelling for me across the levels. And secondly, Douglas brought something up that made me start thinking. So this is the Mashabas. I didn't get that very well. What's the name? Is it Masharaba or what?
Masharaba.
What's the game? Masharaba.
Mashariki?
Mashariki. And he made some comments as someone in East Africa saying that character is supposed to dance, that character is supposed to be a man, something like that. So we in Africa, we are trying to make this move of the West is representing us in a different manner. And that's what we creatives are trying to change as well, take charge of our story. Now, how is this sitting well with East African players? Because for me, from Western Africa, I did not know, and I was cool with it. Okay, but now an East African is telling me, a Westerner, that I call myself a Westerner, interesting. Yeah, an East African is telling me that character is supposed to be a male, that character is supposed to dance. So now I'm wondering, are you representing this character, this storyline properly? And is it sitting well with the audience back at home? Because for us, we don't have that info. So yeah, please take that.
Yeah. So first of all, in terms of the story, like I mentioned, what I did with this game, I had a comic book accompanying the game. So I don't like placing ads in my games. So my mode of monetization was to sell the comic books, right? I sell the comic books, but the game is available for free. All right. And I also had, like I mentioned earlier, a comic strip appearing in one of the local daily newspapers. Every Sunday, there'd be a comic strip for Wana Savana every Sunday, where readers could keep up with the story. So that's as far as the story is concerned. In terms of representation, I'd say that majority, in fact, I haven't had any negative feedback regarding the comic book and the stories. The way the story is presented, the characters and all that. So it's very well received. The comic book and the comic characters, they are very well received. In fact, in order for you to be picked by these daily newspapers to have your stuff appearing in their publication, you have to be doing something right. And yeah, it was very well received, I have to say.
So it was more like it's a comic with a game rather than a game with a comic. Right?
I think that's a chicken and egg.
Which one came first?
So they were both meant to complement one another. The comic complements the game, and the game complements the comic.
But I like the idea of growing it as an IP rather than just sticking to one medium.
Okay, awesome. Joanna, anything else to add?
No, because actually, Oscar, I wanted to talk about the storytelling actually, and me not understanding really the whole storytelling, not understanding, but actually having the differentiation in the storytelling. Where am I going? Who am I going to collect the story for? You say that the see the smile on the face of my friend, have something a little bit stronger to hook actually the audience. And with this in mind, I had actually a couple of questions. Who was your main audience? Was it the East African population only? Was it the whole of Africa? Who is your main audience at the first step? And who, in the grand scheme of things, would you like to direct and market your game to?
So when I was developing the game, the target market and the target audience in mind was kids in East Africa, ideally aged between 5 and 12 years of age, right? And that is why even with the comic books, the bookshop that I distributed these comic books to, the sections in the newspaper that the comic strips appear in, it's the areas or the areas that are targeted more towards the younger audience of age between 5 years and 12 years of age. Yeah, it's and one of the other things that I was trying to address is that, growing up, all the representation that you see in forms of cartoons on TV, cartoons in the newspaper, the comic books that you read, they're all Western. It's all white characters, Western characters. So that's another thing that I was trying to address. That from a very young age, it's very important for these kids to see themselves represented in these mediums, in comic books, in games, and in cartoons, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So that was my target audience.
Okay, thank you. And why I was asking this question is that I can see the game being played not only in East Africa, but the whole of Africa, the diaspora, the children in the diaspora, in the Caribbean, and really actually giving and telling the story of the East African culture through that game. That's why I was thinking about the storytelling being a little bit stronger to utilize and leverage the game and the comics to transmit that culture, that the culture of the East Africa, place, So that's why I was asking that, because I can see it's nice, it's simple, and it can be played by anyone. So why not think big? And yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Jana, for the inspiration. I'll try broaden my horizon.
And just thinking about, because just thinking about how you can actually, if you feel like, okay, maybe I don't have much money to invest in the art of the game to tell maybe a more elaborate story in the game, you can use the comic. You can literally put the first page of the comic right before the player plays the game. And they can just read that and be like, okay, fine, this is the story now. And they play the game, for example. It could even be a reward they get while they play the game. You can put pages of the comic after every level. I don't know. Whatever really works for you. But just the fact that you have that done, you already have your story, literally.
Yeah.
Or you need to just find a way to rope it in. And I think you can have something really, really cool. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, George. That's something I didn't thought about. I'll actually include some slides of the comic in the game once I remaster it.
No problem, man. Anytime.
So what fee do you charge for that advice?
I don't charge for advice, because honestly, in video games are so hard to execute that I could even tell you my whole idea right now. I could document it, tell you the whole thing, and I know you won't do it like me. That's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
If I tell you, let's all make a Spider-Man game. So we all know the whole Spider-Man story. We know he's a web slinger, he's bit by a spider, he swings his webs, but we'll all make different games. So it's, at the end of the day, it's like you can't really steal execution. So yeah, I'm completely fine with sharing ideas. At the end of the day, if another African wins, I feel like I win too, honestly. So yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. So just final round of questions. What's the one thing each of you would not remove in the game? What's the one thing that's perfect as it is?
You will
Yes,
not do
Oscar. Shoot.
I think the character. I'm in love with the character.
I should have. Yeah, I think that was first.
Okay, how many for character?
The character and their colors.
And the calories.
Okay, awesome.
The character and those
I didn't get
collectibles.
your question, sorry.
Douglas.
I didn't get.
Yes, what's the one thing you should not touch or remove in the game?
Okay. I think I'm also for the same, the character.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I want to ask a question.
Yes.
To the business guys now, what is the main source of monetization right now? What would be your advice?
You'd have to be really creative. I think Africa is a wild west, honestly, of video games. There isn't a perfect strategy so far. I feel like most times if people are making money, it's because of their other side hustles. Either it's contract work they do on the side, or maybe you're a game developer, but you make web, you can make websites, you can make apps and stuff. But in gaming itself, we still need to figure it out. Most times, maybe because we haven't yet made the game that could work for our continent, and I think that's all we're trying to do. What's that game that's going to blow up on the whole continent, and then from there we can test all those things on it. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be a matter of time, honestly. With mobile money and all these big conglomerates or companies wanting to figure out how to make gaming work in Africa, I just think it's a matter of time. But like I said, I think it's a wild west. We don't know it.
Isaac, also to respond to your question, you realize in Africa we have a majority of the population that is maybe considered unbanked, in the sense that much of the West, everybody has a credit card or a debit card. But if you speak to majority of the people here, let me talk of Kenya, and maybe the situation is the same across Africa. There are people who've never even used a credit card, myself included. I've never, I know what a credit card is. I've seen people use credit cards, but myself, from a bank, I've never touched a credit card, And here in Kenya, the best way to get people to spend money is via mobile money, right? And it took a really big push. Right now, Google implemented payment via our mobile money solution called M-Pesa. I know you guys have heard about it. You can pay for apps on the Play Store via M-Pesa. So that's that's possible in Kenya, but in the rest of Africa, I think you still need to have either a credit card or a debit card, which I know a lot of the population in Africa doesn't have access to these facilities.
Okay, so just a quick one, just to add to what you just said, or just to ask another question to Mr. George. So will you say in this scenario, since Africa is unbanked, will you say that most of our content that we are developing as game developers or as animators should be also targeted towards the Western countries that have that purchasing power?
Not really. The way I see it is this: your goals for Africa now should be different. Okay, that's the way I see it. I think John wants to also say something, so I'll just be very quick. I think your goals should be different. What we do is, our goal for Africa is, we know it's going to be hot like in the next 5 years. So our goal in Africa is to get legitimacy, to grow an audience, to grow reach, to make sure the kids that are growing right now, they know Mzito all the way till they attend they're grown up. So it's to really make a really strong IP. So, but when it hits, you're ready. Then for the West is to make money. It's purely, I want money from the West. That's how I see it. So you have to have that kind of strategy. And there's also interesting ways, like John mentioned, there's the diaspora, where there are so many Africans. There's the Caribbean. There's so many places that actually have African people or people of African descent. They'll be willing to play your games and that have those credit cards and that have that money. So yeah, that's what I think, at least. So have different goals. If you know you can't make money in Africa, figure out what can I get from Africa then. It's the numbers. That's what I feel. You can get a lot of numbers here, and those are the numbers you go to these big companies and ask for that funding. Or I can get a million downloads in Africa, and it's affordable and it's more cheap. But anyway, Joanne, I think you can take it away.
Thank you. So to reply to your question, as Josh was saying, there is two types of audience. So the first audience, if you want to monetize the African population, we know that there are some structure and some platforms that are going to be used. M-Pesa. I know that there are people that are currently developing to use airtime as well as a way to pay. So these are currently under construction. So what the developer need to do is really and the game development industry is actually to create awareness about those games, to educate about the profession of game industry as the gaming industry as well, whilst waiting for those for the African users to be leveraged for monetization. That's the first thing. Now, there is and that's why now I'm going into solo, because there is a big interest from a big firm about the African content, the cultural, the ethnic content. So why? Because I know that this can be monetized in the West, and this can be not only with the diaspora but with everything. And to take the example of this game, what I was thinking, oh, this game can really weave the comic and add in the game. This can really blow up in Europe. This can really blow up because it's so easy and it's really for children and like young people. If you can add the ads, the normal ads that you can get from any type of ad tech, you can actually monetize your game when you target it for the audience outside of Africa. So really have two different mindsets right now, and understanding how to monetize in Africa and how to monetize for your content in outside of Africa.
Mm-hmm. Maybe to add on that a bit, like I said, always have those dual strategies. Know where you're getting your money and know you're getting your numbers. That's why I feel like I would do it. Your numbers will definitely come from Africa because it's advertising is cheaper than getting users in the West. So definitely have that. What you mentioned again, awesome stuff. Educate the user on how to actually transact in your game, and always I feel like think long term. because that's when we're going to get our numbers. The next billion gamers are 100% coming from this continent, and that's
Sure.
crazy. Imagine the next billion gamers that's coming from your backyard, literally.
Yeah.
And that is that is really, really, really powerful. Imagine just getting 1% of a billion. That's enough. That is completely enough. It's perfect. And just final thing is, but if you want to make money now, I wouldn't discourage you. You just have to be very creative. Like for example, like like Masharia did. He had a comic that you're selling and tandem with this game. You can also do merchandising. You can also partner with telcos. There's so many other things you can do right now to get your money short term. Of course, it'll be risky, but you may be the person that finds the goal that everybody's been looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, you want to go? Let me just say something that.
After you, I'll go.
Okay. So, what my journey so far in game development, I've realized that it's not only the challenge is not only about these people having the credit cards and the debit cards for them to spend money in our games. It's also having the financial ability. A lot of the times, people in Africa, we are mostly concerned about meeting. You're so concerned about meeting your basic needs that you don't think in terms of spending a lot on entertainment. I don't know how the situation is in other countries in Africa, but here in Nairobi, you find that every big movie that comes out, it's available for the equivalent of $50. You can go to a shop and get that movie instead of going to the cinema and spending $10-15. You can get that movie on a CD or on a flash drive for $50. So people are always looking for the cheapest alternative. And I know all you guys know about piracy, whether it's music piracy, movie piracy, video game piracy, and I don't want to point any fingers, but I know even right here we have people who've played or continue to play games that they've downloaded illegally on the internet, right? So that just goes to show that the spending power of the population here in Africa is not that high. And my point to that is that if you're not going to make the player or the consumer pay for your game, you ought to look for somebody else that's gonna foot that bill, that's gonna chuck the money. And like George was saying, you can partner with telcos, you can do sponsorship deals with other industry players. You can do merchandising, you can do other things, come up with other creative ways of generating revenue from your IP. It's not just a game; it's IP. Think of it as IP, and think of other ways to generate revenue from that IP. You can do advertisements on TV. Like Isaac, you've said that you're developing a game for the Ministry of Education. I know they're paying some good money for that. So let's say if it was for me, that so
don't be too sure.
Yeah.
You know how our government works.
Yeah, I know. So in case the Ministry of Education here in Kenya asked me to develop a game for them, I'd push for my character in Wana Savana to be the main character in that game. And because it's something that the government is going to push, they may not be paying me a lot of money to make the game, but in terms of the exposure, the number of eyes that are going to see my game character, that makes the value of that IP rise, and it translates to better money for the developer. So it's up to us to think of more creative ways to make money, if not from the player, from other sources or from other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, sorry, please, if I may go quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I agree totally with you 100%. Just to add more to what you said, the truth of the matter is Africa it's not that we don't have the spending power, let's be sincere, we have money to buy food. It's we don't have the spending culture. Many people pay for Microsoft products in Africa. If you go to businesses, you find a lot. I mean, in Nigeria, we have computer village dedicated to pirated software. You get the idea. So what I'm trying to say is, if even top-notch games like PES and the others are being pirated, those are games that employ like 1,500 people. What would drive Africans to pay for your game. We don't have that culture, and it's just changing. Even when it comes to simple things like even the course we used to learn, Udemy course, Coursera course. Almost everybody these days are applying for financial aid. Even managers in companies are applying for financial aid. So we don't have that spending culture for games or any software service. We feel like it's digital, it should be free, from music to everything. So the point is we have to think out the box. And just like he is doing, create an ecosystem around. The money is not in Africa when it comes to selling your software. So look at it from even the startup space. The investments are not coming from within Africa; they're coming from outside Africa. Pay staff, Flutterwave, cheaper cash. It's not Africans that are investing in these companies, even if we're making the noise. It's foreigners. So, and from the game developers I've interacted with and all, when they even look at downloads, the downloads are not from Africa. We're even saying the numbers are here. No, Africans are not downloading African games. They only download it when they see it on BBC. When they see it on CNN, that's when they download it. They don't download it when you are pushing it across.
Because we have this import mentality.
Exactly. Exactly. So what we need to focus on right now is we know where the money is coming from. Then we know how to make money with it. Create an ecosystem. Marvel, Disney is doing it today. They have the games, they have the comics, they have the swags, they have the pops, all those action figures. You can partner with Lego. There are people making African dolls right now. And I tell you, the people buying these dolls are not even Africans. A majority of those dolls are exported outside the continent. But the more you create an ecosystem around, the more, as you said, you make your brand more visible. The more you increase your valuation, so that when investment is coming in, these investors will want to invest with you because your brand is out there and they can expand from that. That's what they are looking out for. So it's not even in, how do I put it, it's not even the game, making the games locally. Just create your brand, create an ecosystem, t-shirts, partner. A lot of people now are going into education with games and animation, and it's changing the industry. I know Ghana is doing it for the election. I think Kenya as well is building something for the election. I can't remember the name, but they're working with an organization. Nigeria is working as well. We have more startups coming out to use animation to educate people. That's the ecosystem. But if you say you want to sell to the local consumers, no, it won't work. Build something, export it, then when you are bringing it back, that's when the local consumers, it's like we like to export our cocoa so that they process to chocolate, then we come and buy it at a higher price and we feel good. But the more we build the brand, the more we build the structure, the more people become aware, then the attitude is changing, but it will take time. But for now, to be able to remain sustainable, create an ecosystem around your products. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and also know where the money is. Like, I think that's the most important thing here. If the money is in the West, that's where you know you're targeting your money. And also in Africa, the money is also here, but it's also with the big conglomerates. So if you're not going to get money from the actual person, go look for the company. Maybe they're the ones who have the money. And yeah, like I said, we just have to be very creative. It's the wild, wild West out here. Everybody has to like keep on trying until eventually we get there. And that's why I always feel like if another African wins, I know I'm done. If we are 100 developers and we make 100 games and one of them works, like we know what to do now. So I'm always happy about that. Yeah.
Okay, so final word from each one of you for Daniel. Final statement you'd like to tell him. Could be something positive, something to change, hopefully positive, but something to change, something to improve, something to work on. Go. Would you like to go first?
I guess I'll go. I'd say big up, awesome stuff. I love that you're still making games because this industry we have lost many people all over the years. And because we started off like around the same time, where like we feel like we're one of the OGs of the industry. So it's good to see that people are sticking around and they're still passionate about this stuff. I feel like I find one of the most passionate game developers from Africa because we do it despite everything, everything that's going on in our country, from our government, from money. With all our issues, we are still sticking it and we're still doing it. So I feel like I find the most passionate people here. And so I'm happy that you're doing what you're doing. We should definitely talk more. I feel like we haven't caught up in such a long time.
Yeah, in a long time. I used to be in France.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm finishing my masters in Germany, but I should be back home pretty soon. And
Nice.
yeah,
Awesome.
definitely we should meet up and talk more. But yeah. So definitely awesome stuff. We should talk more. But that's it for me.
I think for me, the interesting thing would be, I think the way like in France they have Viva la France, you know, it's like pro themselves. So I think now the thing will be to see how do you replicate that with an African twist, and then you know people say fake it till you make it. So I guess you know use the same mantra, push Africa, and then for sure it will break out.
Awesome. Joanna?
Yeah, me, I'm very excited about the future, and I'm very excited for the game. So I have a lot of ideas that I really want to help you with, and see how we can export it as well to a wider audience. So really, um, continue the good work, and I'll get in touch with you definitely to see an expansion of the game.
Thank you, Johanna.
Awesome, fantastic. Next up, Oscar, anything to add?
Yeah, so for me, I'd say this is lovely. This is amazing. It's good to see that one, you're not just building, you're also bringing the next generation of builders along. So one thing I just love to say is without this program, I wouldn't have discovered you. So I feel there's still much more work to be done there. So as Jonas said, you can reach out to us so that she can export you out there, get to meet the external audience out there. And even in West Africa, here in Eastern and Northern and Southern Africa, I feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done because you've been in this industry and you're doing something amazing from building to actually bring the next stage of game developers. So awesome work. Please focus more on the marketing as well, putting much more effort on the marketing and the branding within the game, outside the game, because the comics now is something I'm going to go online to search. Where did I get that from? So please focus more on that. Yes. The future is interesting, so I look enjoying it with everyone here. Yeah.
Thank you, Oscar.
Awesome. Finally, Mr. Isaac.
Okay, so I mean, I like this platform. It's good. I think it's in the right direction. I mean, there are a lot of developers out there quietly suffering, and they can't complain. There's no one to talk to. Everybody's in their one little corner, claiming that we are isolating, and everybody's just everybody is just dying inside. So platforms like this are awesome. Uh, what everybody has said in terms of monetization and everything is right. I think you can do your best right here in Africa. Try and get the numbers, as Mr. George has earlier said. We should try and get the numbers. I think as we get the numbers, we are building our database. We are building our user list. We are using that same data to analyze where our users are coming from, getting data to figure out what kind of games people want to play, like making use of the data that we collect. So I believe that when we are able to get to that point, it might take 10 years, it might take 20 years, whatever time, but I believe that when we have the numbers, especially in Africa, when the Western world is ready to give us that funding and receive that amount of money to boost that economy, then we have a whole list of veterans in the industry that have gathered the numbers. I think right now what we should keep doing is honing our craft, getting better at our developing our programming skills, building our own platform. I can see what Dean and his guys are doing with their platforms, which is great. We need more platforms like that where we have games being published, we have people being encouraged to publish games. I mean, it's not even about the money now. At least right now, let's just carry the cross. Let's bear all the pain. At the end of the day, we are also doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for the next generation. Because we don't want to be in a case where we are 51, we are 60, and still the gaming industry in Ghana and Africa has still not developed. So I think we should just continue working hard, grassroots, underground, go hard as you can, get the data, improve your marketing, communicate more, and also with the cross-continent development. What we are doing currently is we are developing our games, for instance, Tales of Hassan, but we are trying to develop a Western character that has nothing to do with Africa and try to merge these two worlds. Then we can sell it to the Western world. Then selling their own characters, we also end up selling our own African stories as well. I can see that that's what they are trying to do with Black Panther, where they are trying to infuse the white guys into Wakanda. It will still not work, but you can get a clear idea that that's what they are trying to do. They want to sell their own stories, sell their characters, and still project ours. And we should do the same. It is not called stealing. It's not called copying. It is called being hard. Pick their characters, add it to your character, sell it back to them, sell ours. Let's go hard.
I like what you said there. I like to call that the Black Panther effect. We all want that exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for giving so much of your time, giving so much of yourself. We are way past time, but I notice no one is in a hurry to leave. Everyone wants to suggest more, give more information. Yeah, thank you. It's not easy, I'm sure, for all of us to try to build this industry, and I hope that we'll have more opportunities to collaborate with each other and the greater ecosystem. Yes, who would have thought 2 hours will go that fast? And yeah, please reach out to me if you have any suggestions, any ideas, anything you think we should do better, faster, easier, and so on and so forth. We'll do our best. Thank you so much again. And that's it for us.
Dean, before you finish, you didn't
Yes.
let me give any closing remarks.
Please.
You left out. So,
Please.
I want to thank everybody for taking their time out of their busy schedule to play my game and also give me feedback and on ways I can improve my game and ways I can become a better developer. When Dean got in touch, I think it was earlier this week,
Yeah.
I was a bit apprehensive. You know, when you're told that you have to come in front of a panel and people are going to criticize you, you know, I have to say, I really was not looking forward.
Dean is a sneaky guy. You have to be well to Dean.
Yeah. So I have to say, I was not looking forward to coming here to be grilled and being criticized. But it's over 2 hours later, and you know, it's been such a positive experience. It's totally 180 of what I had expected it to be. And I want to just say a big thank you to all of you, and let's work together to take the video game industry in Africa to the next level. Much appreciated.
A time will come, we will not be sympathetic, you know.
Yeah.
Next time you're going to tell you, it is, don't do that. Get out.
Yeah. For my next project, please be as ruthless as you can.
Yeah, and I think also there is a sense of camaraderie because we've all been a part of this industry for a while. We've all made games for a while. We've played games for a while, and we want more people to make games. So you find it is so easy for people who don't really care that much to tear apart a game because they don't really understand the process of making one. So it's something we really try to do. We really try to bring together people who have at least a bit of experience, sometimes even a bit of failure in making games, in being part of this industry, because that it gives you a bit of patience, a bit of understanding, and really good lessons. Yeah.
Just before we go off, I'd love to, because I think before I came to this meeting, I know I knew Johanna and I knew Masharia, but I didn't know Isaac and I didn't know Oscar. So maybe, I don't know if you can possibly share the contacts. I don't know if you guys are okay with that. I won't spam you or anything, don't worry. But you can just share your contacts and maybe we can keep in touch for some time later in the future.
I'm actually crafting an email to everyone right now. So.
Awesome.
Awesome. So what I'll do, please share all the contacts that you would like out there in the chat. In case you require any specific content, you can WhatsApp me and assist as well as I can. And yeah, let's keep the conversation flowing. Even me, I'll share mine. Yeah. And I believe we are all in the same groups. We are all in AGD1, AGD2, and a few other groups, Unity users, and so on and so forth. And this is the beauty of just having opportunities of collaborating. Because we are 200, we rarely get to talk to each other. But here we are having a really nice session together. I believe you all have my number.
Well, I think the only guy missing is Isaac. We can definitely add Isaac to AGD.
Yes. We'll work on that, Douglas. Awesome. So I shall leave the chat open and just the overall call open for at least another 5 minutes so that you can save the contacts, take your time, save as accurately as possible. And then you can call it a day.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, that's mine.
Yeah, the OGs of the industry. You've been here for 5 years. I recall Isaac finished his game in 2014, was it, Isaac?
Yeah.
So that's 7 years.
Yeah.
So, Isaac, which platforms did you launch your game on? Is it for mobile, for PC?
Yeah, so for
Web?
Tales of Hassan, we did it for Android. Yeah.
Is it still available on Android right now?
Yeah, I think I gave it to Dean. Dean should have.
Yeah, it's on the Jiwe platform also.
Okay.
Yeah.
But after that, we've been developing for organizations using Unity. Basically, we've been using Unity, basically for desktop. Most of our work has been coming towards architecture for some reason, because because we use the Unreal Engine. We have some good machines that allow us to do interactive work. So for architecture firms, and so basically that's what we've been dabbling for some while now.
That's interesting because we did try that in Kenya once, but I think at the time it wasn't the right timing. Because we approached some architecture firms because we were telling them we could help them showcase a lot of their buildings even before they're built, but it wasn't the right time. But I'd love to have a discussion with you and see how you guys did it. Maybe a bit.
Basically, Unreal has been our go-to tool for some time now. Unreal and Unity. Unity has its own issues, but currently, so what as a studio, what we do is we don't say, hey, this is what we are doing, this is what we are doing. When the job comes, you have to quickly go and study, quickly get your act together, quickly find a way to solve, because this is Africa. You can't come and say, oh, I'm a developer, and you just stick to development. You will go hungry. So you have to be in a position where you can easily learn the tools and get a client that will give you the understanding and patience to allow you to learn.
Yeah.
That's sound advice.
That's true.
Okay, I hope everyone is good. If you're not, just remain on the call. But thank you so much again for your time. You're free to leave. You're also free to hang out with me if you want. No pressure.
Yeah, alone. See you.
No problem.
All right,
cheers.
guys.
I mean, guys, cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Have a great weekend.
Oscar, I'll see you around. All right, bye.
Bye.